Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, with General David Petraeus as our special guest. He is also a former CIA director. General, you alluded to this, again, not trying to put you on the heels of a dilemma here, but as an outside observer, as a Canadian, I do have to ask this question. Is U.S. domestic politics broken?
I don't think it's broken. It's certainly challenged in a variety of different ways. But what I think has been impressive over the course of the last year or so is that there has actually been the emergence of bipartisan consensus on very, very important issues, such as this support for Ukraine and the opposition to what Russia has done there or is trying to do there, such as trying to develop all the policies and tools and so forth for the relationship with China, such as support for enhancing our cybersecurity elements and their capabilities. So interestingly, there's a number of areas in which there has actually emerged, both parties can agree on something and can move forward effectively with it. Just as was the case, of course, in the response to the pandemic in this administration and, of course, in the previous one as well, to make sure that everything was done to cushion the blows that would be felt economically by those who are least advantaged in our population. So I think there's been a lot of that. Certainly there is enormous partisan wrangling. Obviously, we're coming up to a midterm election in November that could flip one or both of the control of the houses of our legislature, the Senate and the House. And that would be more challenging, needless to say, for the president. But again, I actually think what has happened has been reasonably heartening, despite the backdrop, despite the various tweets of certain nature and all the rest of that. And I've been a bit heartened by that.
Yeah, it's almost as if, going back to Vladimir Putin for a second, his best laid plans, he saw a divided West and divided NATO, and yet his plans actually united politics in the United States to a great extent and in NATO. Is that your assessment as well?
It is. This just sort of validates Warren Buffett's old line about never pays to bet against America.
Yeah, exactly.
Or perhaps Winston Churchill, who said, you can always count on the Americans to do the right thing after all the other things.
Indeed. So, again, we're coming at it from a Canadian point of view. Do you have any advice or aspirations about what Canada should be doing in this very dangerous world in which we live?
Well, I must say, first of all, I have a lot of admiration for our neighbors to the north. I was privileged to command Canadian military forces in Afghanistan, in particular, work with them in Bosnia. There was even a tiny complement of them in Iraq, a liaison officer and some others, and then the NATO training mission there, which I also commanded. And so that relationship is extraordinarily strong. And of course, the intelligence relationship is also very, very special indeed, the Five Eyes and so on. And candidly, a lot of us have envied various aspects of what takes place in Ottawa and also sometimes in some of your other cities, which seem to prevail over our National Hockey League teams from time to time.
Well,
I might note that when your Minister of Defense visited me in Afghanistan was the year that the Boston Bruins won the Stanley Cup. And so we had a little miniature Stanley Cup made with the Bruins on the front of it, and I presented it to him. And he very quickly responded, yeah, but how many of the members of the Boston Bruins are actually from America?
That's right.
That was only 2 or 3. So it was a Canadian victory nonetheless, in his eyes at least.
Yeah, I remember Janet Reno, when she was in the U.S. administration, attended the Vancouver Olympics and the gold medal game between Canada and the USA.
Please.
And at one point, she remarked to our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, that she actually wanted Canada to win because if they didn't, there would be mass suicide north of the border. So I think that was a general observation that Americans do understand Canada at times.
Occasionally we do, and having been to the Calgary Stampede, and then also a number of times, obviously, to Ottawa and the other major cities. In Ottawa, I should also note that after that Olympic victory by Canada, I was presented a Canadian team jersey to make sure I remembered who it was, and I would look at it every time I hung it. I went to my closet to get a shirt.